Hello everyone, how are you doing? I'm doing well. I advise you to subscribe to the channel and put a like. Did you do? Great. Now I propose to pepper-vayut to the topic of the video. We have today is not usual, namely, what is the biggest scam that people still fell for? Story 1. Shared ownership housing in the UK. It's a hybrid rent-own solution where you only have to get a mortgage pay for 10/40 of the home and pay rent on the rest. The scam is that you have all the downsides of renting and rules rent hikes being forced on you with none of the leverage of just leave. And there are no rules in the UK stopping them from hiking prices as long as they fall under the service charges instead. Highly recommend scouring Trustpilot and seeking alternatives if you're seriously looking at shared ownership. I regret it a lot. Story 2. My mom's job consists of answers calls at a bank, and so many people fall for a thing called spoofing. Spoofing is when scammers pretend to be someone or something else to win a person's trust. The motivation is usually to gain access to systems, steal data, steal money. At least 5 people today called in because they thought the bank was talking to them, sending them a link that is not the actual bank website and log into their bank account, giving away their login information. So basically don't press any link that a random person sends you. The bank should just call you and they don't send you a link. Story 3. To be fair, banks keep sending these stupids don't fall for scams emails but make zero effort to not look like scams. X200B me calling my bank someone will call you back about this. Me okay. Which number would the call be from so I know it's from the bank? We can tell we have several numbers. Could you share with me the pool of numbers? Do they start with some prefix? Could you give me a name or anything that will help me know the call is from the bank? No sorry. Then later, getting a call from a number that gives no result when Googling it. Hi, this is your bank to make sure it's, you answer these security questions? Hi, before I do that, could you prove me you are my bank? We are the bank. Don't worry about it. Can I call you back to a number that I know is from the bank? No, we can't do that. Can you tell me what it is about? So I know it's not a scam. We can't give any info before you answer the security questions. It's the protocol. Since I was expecting a call from them, I did answer their questions, and it was indeed the bank. But I hate the hypocrisy of their emails. Story 4. They worked for me. Not like I can see color with them like everyone else, but the sheer fact that I could distinguish colors from each other and really opened up my spectrum was FKN amazing. No, they don't work for everyone. Only like a small percentage, but they did me. Many of the reaction videos are way over the top, but when my cousin gave them to me for the first time, I can say, I got a little dust in my eye. No one could imagine what it's like to be able to see things you never have. Story 5. I know these tricks. Step 1. Wake up every day at 4 a.m. for some reason. Step 2. Combine 2 activities that do not go together. Try eating while you shower, or cook breakfast while folding laundry. Why? Because it saves time and time is money. Step 3. Disregard all social contracts by redefining what a day is. Divide a 24-hour period into 6 parts and label them each as a day. Now you are working faster than everyone else because at the end of their one day, you'll have done 6, making you better than them. Step 4. Forget that you are a human and throw out all desires, like sex? Wrong. Success is the only sex you'll be having. Step 5. Talk loud and with big hand gestures. This also helps you practice against an attack by a black bear. Story 6. Anytime anyone talks about metabolism, it's bullshit. At least 99 of the time you know what a metabolism killer is. It's when you sit on your ass and don't walk. People barely walk at all. Get up and walk. There's your metabolism booster. Here's a little secret. If your labs don't indicate hypo or hyperthyroidism, your metabolism is normal. These things do not hide from a blood panel. So if you got a test and everything was normal, then you do not have a fast or slow metabolism. Any weight issue you have is lifestyle related. A fast metabolism is called hyperthyroidism. The most common cause of hyperthyroidism is Graves' disease. You do not want Graves' disease. At best, it's unpleasant. At worst, it's deadly. Here's another secret. A fast metabolism can lead to weight loss or weight gain, since one of the symptoms is having a big appetite. So when people try to sell you this, raise your metabolism or balance your hormones, shit, you can ignore it. If you have a genuine metabolic concern, you're supposed to go to the doctor. Don't be seeking advice from online influencers. Realize that these people do not even need a high school diploma. Go to the doctor. Story 7. Nope. And every time they come up, I try to say they aren't that bad. Until I learned what they are allowed to do in the USA, they are really bad in the States. I'm in Canada. Instead of banning MLMs outright, we have laws to protect people in the MLM. No minimum purchases in the States. The parent company can insist on the amount of inventory you need to buy per month. No sign-up fees other than a startup package that must be sold at cost in the States. There can be money that goes to the parent company and the people above you get some small percentage of that money, exactly like a pyramid scheme. Parent company must buy back unsold inventory in the States once you buy the inventory. You are stuck with it as the parent company treats it as a sale. With those laws in place, being in an MLM in Canada is basically just working for straight commission without the benefits of being an employee. That's still kinda shitty, but nowhere near the shit that happens south of our border. Story 8. Some are ran by charities and are pretty good. Some are ran by charities and are mismanaged and awful. Some are managed by private companies and are scams designed to trap people. Pros over renting: can't be evicted under a Section 21. Can redecorate however you like. Cheaper in the long term but more expensive than buying outright. Guaranteed right to buy a greater share at market rate. Rent is relatively controlled. Cons over renting: can't move out easily. Responsible for 100 of maintenance costs even if you only own 40. Obviously it's always better to buy outright. But I know a fair few single people in London on middling incomes where this was the only way they could escape shitty landlords. A friend of mine bought a 40 stake in a $350K property with a $10K deposit, and his rent mortgage is significantly less than his rent was in a smaller and much less nice flat before. But you can absolutely become trapped in an unsellable flat you can't afford to buy out or leave. Story 9. This is most sci-fi authors of his time. Hell, the person considered the grandfather of science fiction, Isaac Asimov, literally wrote the same way. Dude wrote like he was trying to hit the word count requirement on a high school essay. Comparatively, the content of Asimov's books are absolutely brilliant, revolutionary, and quite literally the foundation, no pun intended, of modern science fiction, even though all these ideas got their start in horribly written ramblings. Hubbard, on the other hand, doesn't have the same underlying veins of genius beneath his word soup that Asimov did. I'll actually give Hubbard credit as being a better technical writer than Asimov, but he never came anywhere near the actual genius of ideas and universe building. Story 10. I have worked in or adjacent to physical therapy for almost 20 years. As such, I remind all of my patients that my ultimate goal is making them functional, safe, and independent. This is when they're ready to discharge from my care. So when other people describe going to a chiro for years on end, I ask them what that practitioner is doing to advance them beyond needing their care. Now, there are some practices that provide education and exercises to supplement the services they provide, but I feel like these are in the minority. Most places would delight in taking your weekly copay without actually helping you in the long run. Story 11. Luckily, I have taught my mother to call me if she gets send links that claim stuff about bank and whatnot. Never click anything from anyone you don't trust, and even if you trust them, if they ask you to log into a website or whatever, then call me and I will look at it. And she does. Or calls me and says the bank just sent her a text message saying something is wrong with her card and to fill out the form in the link to fix it. And I can then tell her it's a scam. Luckily, she has learned over time to not click stuff and not give any credit card details or anything like that to anyone. If someone calls and claims to be your bank, then tell them you will call them right back and then call your bank. So I don't get a lot of those calls anymore from my mother, but it still happens from time to time whenever the scammers come up with something new. Story 12. Malams. I nearly got suckered into one too many. I am not smart to figure them out, it's just that eventually I learned of the patterns, which I think is pretty damn sad. Someone you know approaches you and talks to you, and oftentimes, you genuinely want to talk to because, hey, old friends and whatnot, right? Nope. After like an hour or two, it went into, hey, can you join this or that event that my other friends are hosting? No strings attached. And then being ghosted because you are not interested in the first place. Story 13. I cannot believe I had to scroll this far down to find this. I got licensed to sell all kinds of insurance a few years ago and I vowed never to sell health insurance to a soul after learning the ins and outs. It's immoral. I canceled my own health insurance. It's legitimately cheaper to pay for almost every single thing you can think of out of pocket, save an ICU admit or cancer treatments. Even then, I'd rather throw myself at the mercy of charity hospitals, or maybe sign up for a shitty plan after a diagnosis. In 2023, I had a few medical issues, and even with a good QHP with low deductible, I still would have paid more over the course of the year, out of pocket, with premiums being what they are than what I paid outright for my care. Health insurance in the U.S. is one of the biggest scams out there. It is the single biggest driver of rising healthcare costs. IMO. Story 14. My former coworker, I managed front end, and her customer service at a grocery store used to catch people all the time, sending money via Western Union they really probably shouldn't be sending. She'd be like, "Now Charlene, why are you sending $1,200 to Africa for the third day in a row? Your grandson is stuck there? You got a phone call? Okay, Charlene, I know him, okay? He can't afford shoes, let alone a plane ticket to Africa. Where the hell are you sending this money?" Happened a lot, sadly. Story 15. Our water can be straight up dangerous to drink. Infrastructure is terrible with virtually no safety monitoring or alert system. There have been instances where there were line breaks with no warning regarding a boil water advisory, or the fact there was a water line break at all. Many neighbors who are very low income and are forced to rely on the county for water supply have fallen ill due to pathogenic exposure from the water company due to its failure to warn people that they need to boil their water in a timely manner. The only source of information they provide to the general public that is easily accessible is a local number where an automated voice will tell you if there's a break or boil water advisory, but it's never updated. I've had them out repairing a break right outside my window for days, and our water will be out. And that damn automated message will say there is currently no water line breaks or boil water advisories at this time. Story 16. The scam is that you have all the downsides of renting and rules rent. Hikes being forced on you with none of the leverage of "I'll just leave." It can be a scam, but so can UK houses flats you buy outright checkout persimmon. But if you get a good one, then it's simply not true that you have all the downsides of renting. As the rent part is nowhere near the market rate due to the non-profit status of most schemes. Increases are capped. You don't have to ask permission to decorate. Nobody can kick you out if they want to move their maid in, etc. I have been in mine for about 89 years, and my current rent mortgage service charge is not far off half what similarly sized flats in my building are renting for on the open market. Story 17. Multi-level marketing. It rebrands itself every couple years. It's been called network marketing, matrix system, binary tree, social marketing, and a bunch of other names. But there is nothing new under the sun. Doesn't matter how you twist it, if your system depends on an infinite chain of recruits, then it is a pyramid scheme and thus unsustainable. Doesn't matter if it is product-based or not. Product-based pyramid schemes like MLMs have even worse success rate than classic pyramid schemes. Since if you are in the 10 who makes money, you'll push it back to the system anyway to keep up inventory. This brings down the failure rate in MLMs to an average of 99.6, according to their own numbers across multiple MLMs. Source for the numbers: John M. Taylor. The Case for and Against Multi-Level Marketing. Story 18. My bank called me once to offer me anti-fraud protection. They said for a fee they could monitor my finances, alert me to any strange transactions, etc. They would not give me a number to call back or any way to verify they were my bank, and they wanted me to verify all of my information over the phone. I explained to the rep that this call seems a lot like phishing, and they fed me some line about good instincts, but kept pressing. I do believe it was actually my bank, but I still refused to verify or confirm any information they requested because it felt so scammy. It's calls like this that make people believe in the actual scams and phishing calls because that one time it turned out to be my bank. Story 19. This is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. Avoiding fats isn't really that good of an idea. You want them just in the right portions. I add cream to my coffee, but the 75 calories of cream helps keep me from wanting to snack until about 1 when I have lunch. No real willpower involved, just not hungry. Same with salads and the like. Fat-free or low-calorie dressing on a salad and I am hungry 2 hours later. Dressings with some fats in them keeps me full until dinner. The extra 150 calories of dressing prevent me from even wanting an afternoon snack. Moral of the story is fats got a bad rap, and to look at things as a daily intake and not an individual dish drink. Figure out what makes avoiding the snacks, which is what will get you if you are trying to limit your calories, the easiest for you. Story 20. I bought a stainless band with an inset faceted glass stone to propose. She loved it. No stone sticking out to snag on things, and it suited her. We got married with a copper band for her and sterling silver for me with matching Celtic knots. Between lost rings, wedding bands, and engagement rings, we are still under 300. There is no magical minimum formula. Buy the right ring for the right person regardless of how little it costs or traditional it is, especially regardless of what other people think. And yeah, diamonds are cheap. You will find much more beautiful rocks at a Rockhounds booth for a fraction of the cost. Story 21. So you know how too much alcohol will kill you? Because your liver and kidneys can't process and detox it fast enough to make it not kill you? And how even non-fatal but still high levels of alcohol will leave lasting effects and injury to your liver and kidneys? Same thing for basically all foods, vitamins, minerals. Vitamins and minerals are good for you within certain limits. But if you're downing 2 fruit smoothies per day that both contain 1,000 of the amount of vitamin C you need in a day, you're gonna fuck up something. And once the damage is done, you'll have to live with it. The answer is moderation, of course. Too much of anything healthy will kill you, just as dead as too much of anything unhealthy will. Story 22. For what it's worth, this experience you're describing is actively against banking industry security standards. I work in banking and have to keep updated on fraud prevention measures. A bank employee initiating a call should not be asking to verify your information because they're using the contact information you provided. We only request identity verification on customer-initiated calls. This is part of our industry standard customer education messaging. If the bank initiates a call to you, we will never ask you to identify yourself with sensitive information. Banks are usually required by law to collect, analyze, and respond negative feedback about experiences like yours. A call to the general customer service line and a politely worded complaint regarding your experience would go a long way. Story 23. It's generally around 80 concessions. They do make decent money off some movies, especially if they last a really long time in theater. But they get stuck agreeing to some BS terms that hurt ticket sales at times. Cats was one of the ones I remember from my 17 years working at a movie theater. We were contractually obligated to keep it in 2 or 3 theaters its first week, and it completely bombed. The day after Christmas, everything was sold out completely until at least 10 at night except for that. They had at most 2 people in them and many sat completely empty. We could have easily thrown Star Wars in those time slots and sold them out, but we weren't allowed to. Story 24. This is something that burns my ass. Your immune system works on memory. It has to recognize something in order to be immune to it. Drinking elderberry does not give your immune system information like if you see this virus, here's what to do. But some things, you don't want to naturally become immune to since the risk is too fucking high, like, for example, polio. A similar thing goes for things like food poisoning. Some people have this old-world belief that if you eat spoiled or contaminated food, you'll boost your immune system to it. In reality, exposure to things like salmonella puts you at risk for developing an autoimmune condition. So technically they're right, just not for the reasons they think. Story 25. He means that they're not particularly rare. Their value is created by large diamond cartels limiting the supply of diamonds to manipulate the market. Other stones like rubies and sapphires are valuable because they're rare in nature. Diamonds are valuable because De Beers creates artificial scarcity. They also created most of the demand for them by convincing people that diamonds were the only stone that should be used for engagement rings. Before that marketing campaign, people would use lots of precious stones to propose. Story 26. Yep, I hurt my neck in a skateboarding accident a long time ago, and for years afterwards I had very little neck mobility, especially to my left. Saw a chiropractor regularly for about 5 months, and then one time, he did something that hurt so bad. I saw flashing lights. I said bump that and went to physical therapy after 10 months. I was well enough be on the rail at music shows. Not only that, I learned great exercises that I continue at home to strengthen my traps and back muscles. I always pause my friends who are thinking of going to the chiropractor. If it's for an actual injury, find someone who went through PT school. Story 27. They're totally placebo, and the guy that came up with it said it came to him in a dream. I saw TikTok one where a chiro said they could realign someone's spine who had scoliosis with just a few cracks. Considering scoliosis can require very intensive surgery that can leave patients in an ICU for a few days, it's insane that videos like that don't get flagged for misinformation. They always suggest multiple treatments and follow-ups too, even if you've gone for a checkup, which is a massive red flag. Story 28. 100 this. When I was looking to buy my first house, I investigated this as it seemed like a good way to get on the property market in an area I wanted to be in. When the agent broken it down to me, I looked at him agog saying, "How is this a good deal for me? I buy 40 of the property but pay for 100 of the house." He then looked at me with a stunned look on his face. To this day, I don't know whether he was stunned because I called him out or he was stunned because he only just realized how daft the scheme was. Story 29. Yes, and you get more diamond, better quality. Like I had a set budget for my engagement ring because I thought any amount above that would be throwing money away. I think the whole thing is an archaic practice and a waste, but my fiancé wanted one. Researched the topic, went to real jewelry stores and to online shops that sold both dirt and lab diamonds. I was able to get a diamond that was larger than her sister's. Nobody except me and her know it's lab, and everyone was impressed. Nobody can tell with the naked eye if it's lab-grown. In the end, that's what matters. Story 30. My boyfriend is tall and works construction. He's 50 and has done manual labor for years. He goes to a chiropractor and swears by it. I have no opinion. It's his decision to spend the money. I don't believe they really help, and if they do, it's coincidence. I have worked with a lot of people who swear by them. My thought is, if it works, why have you been going every week for 5 years? What I can't stand is seeing videos of parents taking their tiny babies to them. No sane pediatrician would ever recommend it. Well, and that's all we have. I hope you like the theme of this video. I ask you to support the channel with a like, subscribe and kalakulchikam, and leave your comments. I will be glad to read them.